Hey guys, so now we are going to do declarative elements. As you can see here, pretty much many things you already saw in inductions and so on. Maybe you even already did this session somehow. What I suggest here is for you to consider like a few extra things that I will try to bring, but have in mind that the most important of these in terms of understanding is to see how you can actually connect the dots and make these things here actually useful for you, and to ensure of course that EB and team leaders will support, because yes, you're the final responsible, but you are not the direct leader of many people, which means that the direct leader should be the ones actually taking care of it, because it's part of their responsibility. So what we will do here is just try to go over the elements and see if there may be extra things that you never saw before and maybe can help you. So the very first one, team standards. I don't think you need like much explanation from this one. Mostly, of course, remember that is delivered by the direct team leader. So in this case, LCP to VPs, VP to their team leaders, managers, and team leader to members. And in this case, it's their responsibility to implement. And what talent management will do in this case is just ensure that it's happening and it's being done in the proper way. Maximum do some system to track it, but ideally should be the direct leader the one to do the updates. So here is the main thing that I want you to focus with team standards, which is team standards and competencies. Like how you can guarantee that people are actually evolving in terms of mind competencies, so agility, growth, empathy, and eagerness, in a way that you don't need to have like extra work. One thing that I decided to bring this one actually, it's because one of the things we really believe again is that team standards, if properly implemented, it can like solve lots of issues and actually make everything better in the word of AIESEC. But sadly, because we are not being able to do it properly in many places, that's why we still have some issues. And here it's a material that shows exactly like how the team standards, once they're being done, you can actually evolve these things naturally. So I really suggest you to actually check these things and see how you're doing in each one of them. Because, for example, for me, if you know how to do one-to-ones and feedbacks, you for sure will be more empathic with people, because you start understanding the differences and you'll be able to work better with different styles, and you can create different approaches and all these things. Because it's easy to take care of people that are similar to you, but the challenge in AIESEC is actually to find a way to unite people with different profiles and make a super amazing team. And in this case, it's something that sometimes like empathy, because we believe that it's easier and faster to grow using people that are similar to you than actually develop our leaders. So try to really focus in this one, in how you can use team standards to naturally develop this kind of qualities. And of course, ensure that it's not just TM, like this is something that the direct team leader should be doing. So just be sure that people understand how to do it, and if there's like any challenges in terms of how to do better the spaces, like to find it in the network or ask for your MCVP or something, because in the end, like, it's something that's, if we just did it well, we could really save a lot of time. And yeah, so thing standards, that's pretty much the thing that I actually ask for you. Next one is actually the competencies, going more in deep on them. We have the minds that I commented already, we have the hand that are the functional skills, and we have the principles that are related with work values and skills and time. For mind and hands, for 2-3 years more or less, we already had the competence model, which is a spreadsheet that you can access, taking the picture here. And it just explains what are the things related, for example, with growth competency and some categories. So for growth, like you need to be data savvy and focusing, improving continuously. So in this case, what it means to be level 1 or level 4, in each one of them. I believe that the most important thing is not actually for you to start to know understanding each level and start putting numbers in people, but more about how you can understand actually what it means for someone to go from knowing nothing to actually, start developing it and coming to a point that they actually found something that they enjoy. So use this kind of thing as a way to understand the people you have and try to see where they could better work in the organization. Because sometimes we have people that are really amazing in some areas and we keep them in another area that they don't like. And in the end, we lose a member that could be supporting us a lot in something else. Like usually in AIESEC, we have issues with IM profiles, finance profiles, like both of them are usually like really bad ones in terms of keeping inside the organization. That's why we have challenges in actually finding people for this. And one of the things that I believe that could make we have more of them is if we actually knew how to use them properly, first in local level, and then how we can actually show to them the possibilities outside the local level, be it virtually or on global too. So it's really important just for you to understand and see how that can be connected with the growth path for each member. You see here that we have for each one of them, for the minds, we have what it means to be agile, growing, empathic, and eager. And for this one, the only thing I have to say is be sure that people actually understand what each of these phrases mean, because I know that sometimes we have some misconception, or maybe because of the reality we are living, we think that, for example, we are growing, but actually, if we analyze data in everything else, we will see that, oh, okay, we are not growing. Or, for example, we should be more agile in making solutions, but sometimes we take like a week, 2 weeks to actually have something happening. So these are things that actually people should be more aware of, and that's why sometimes even in membership surveys it can be kind of tricky to have this mean measure, because if people don't understand what it really means, it can affect even how we are trying to collect these numbers. So for this one, I really ask just to be sure that everyone understands what each of these things means and what kinds of activities they are reflected. Because it's easier to say we are agile to solve problems, but then see that, for example, we have an EP with a problem and no one approached this EP for like a week or two, and then oops, we have the person really mad at us. So we are not really agile. And of course not empathic, because if the person has a problem, we should, try to solve it. But yeah, just try to have this kind of awareness. And yeah, here this is an image, if I'm not wrong, was done by Zach in Belgium. Here the main idea is just to show the connection between the mind competences and the soft skills that we can have people developing to bring it. So as you can see here, for example, for self skills we have self-management. Why is it being agile? Because the moment the member know how to use their time properly and be sure to separate well their like work time, their family time, or whatever else they need to split their time, it will be easier for them to do the things within a timeline. Because if they just start doing whatever that they think it's important but it's not really, if we consider that maybe they have something urgent that they should be doing, it's sometimes challenging for someone to know how to differentiate what is really important to do in a moment or not. So if we can have all these things connected, it would be like super amazing for our members, because like we don't need to pretty much waste a lot of time if we can have the members understanding that the reason we are having this kind of training, it's because we want them to know how to properly manage their time and their life in general, because we actually care about their experience. So it's not just about numbers, it's about how we can guarantee that they are actually having a good experience and knowing how to manage it properly. So yeah, I really suggest for you to actually try to do this kind of thing in your LC, or find a way on national level even to develop it, because if you have it visually for the members, it will be super clear for them how the competencies connect with the soft skills, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, this super makes sense, and if I have it, it means that I'm being more agile, or that I'm being more empathetic. Then we have hands. one that is pretty much functional, so all the areas we have and the kinds of knowledge that they need to develop inside. What I just have to say from this one is that you have the functions and we have basics that they need to do depending of even the role. So try to have clear what are the things that they need to do. So for example, TM as VP, you need to know recruitment, induction, performance management, managing team leaders, and so on. So how these things can actually connect with each other to make you have a better experience and grow in these aspects, because maybe in some of them you have like more knowledge and you can do it, but in others you don't, like you don't know so much. And in this case it's better for you if you can actually, you know, see yourself growing in this once you finish your experience, and then you're like, oh, see, when I started I was like this and then now I'm like that. And this is pretty much the thing that we should bring to our members too, so they see that they are growing. But for them to know that they are growing, they need to know what are the things that they started and what actually they were able to develop during this time. So this kind of evaluation is actually super good and should be done again with the support of EB and the direct team leaders from the members, because this way we can actually properly understand their states and they can see, you know, that, oh yeah, I actually was able to grow. Cool. Then after all that, we still have the principles, which is work values, skills, and time. Like this one, I believe the most important thing actually that we should do is remember that we are talking about each role having different responsibilities and having this like different benefits. So of course, like in general, people like to be in higher roles, sometimes because of ego, it happens. But the thing is that the moment you are going up in roles, you have different things to do, and sometimes maybe it's not things that you see that you actually enjoy doing. Like for example, you maybe love like doing functional stuff as a member, but then when you go up as a team leader, you already need to do more management stuff than actually functional work. And then you become VP, and then it's even like worst for the person if they are more functional, because you know you need to manage the managers. So you create the strategy and you need to ensure that it's being implemented, but it's not you that is going to do the activities because it's their responsibility. So if you enjoy this kind of roles going up and being more strategic and managing things, awesome. But if you start seeing that maybe, oh, I really don't enjoy these things much, it's maybe meaning that, oh, yeah, I actually enjoy doing the things. So maybe as a member or as a manager, I prefer it more than, you know, as being a VP. And this is totally fine. Like, we don't need everyone in AIESEC doing these roles. It's just important to understand what is expected and what are the needed things for this. So be sure to understand what it means to, you know, manage self and have like these work values, skills, and time. Because the person, when they come to this, they need to understand. And if they apply to be team leaders, they need to have in their minds that they need to manage their members for them to perform and actually have the results, and not, you know, have the team leader or VP doing the work. So yes, we are going to grow, but because the VP and team leader are overworking. So that's pretty much not the purpose. And that's, yeah, the main thing that I really ask you to have the clarity of everything that we are talking here and what are really the things expected and what is expected for you to do in your time. Here you can see just again very briefly that the more you are up, the less functional you are and the more management stuff you need to do. Okay, good. Let's go to the next one, which are the values. Like, they're not really long. The main thing that I really suggest you is just be sure that you put the values of AIESEC in the things that we are doing and really show appreciation for people that are doing these things. Because values are not just to be pretty there and be like in the wall of the office or something. It's actually something that, you know, we live day by day, and if we are not appreciating people that are living these values, so we are not really living them as we should. I suggest even to, when in terms of recognition, that you can even check what are happening like in other entities and even on global level. Because for example, in AIESEC, we have for like the global level, we have IPM and IC where they have the awards. And for a while, they have been putting the values, and sometimes the values, of course, connected with the things that we are doing. So for example, for TM, we have enjoying participation, acting sustainably, of course, more connected with finances. So try to find the things that will make people live the values, not because they are forced, but because it makes sense and is actually the essence of the organization. Okay, next one is actually the moments of the inner and outer journey. So the moments that people are actually experiencing stuff. We have here the inner and outer journey. In this case, in the outer journey, what we have is the experience the person have with others. So everyone around this person somehow is going to influenciate this experience for the good or for the bad, hopefully for the good. And all these things will make the person have some kind of journey that can make them grow. However, at the same time, they need to have these personal moments for inner journey because, yes, we are social people and everything else, but in the end, sometimes we need these personal moments for ourselves to think about things. So, inner journey is the space that the leader will give to their members to actually think about and reflect about the experience and think what are the things that they really enjoyed or not, all kinds of feedbacks and so on. And it's like really important if we can actually have these things happening because the people in the end they need to have both of them happening. And if one of them is missing or lacking, it will affect for sure their experience. And not everyone like is able to just keep going on their own. They may need, for example, some people outside supporting them, or else maybe they will just leave. And yeah, then we have the leadership qualities. From this one, honestly, the only thing that is important for you to understand is that the reason that all the process leads to leadership quality is because we can't measure how much the person is like empowering others. Like it's impossible. There is like no way, at least that we know for now, that we can measure if the person is like 0 or 100, for example, and even what that would means. So one way that we can do it is for sure understanding that yes, we have the competencies, and that if the people are developing it, they then can come to actually the leadership qualities. That's why it's super important to have a way to track mind and hand competencies, because they are what we have to actually guarantee that yes, the person we have here with us, that this specific person is developing like this because they have all these things happening with. And yeah, other thing really important is that this even can be something connected with even your experience now. So for example, if you feel that, okay, I want to, let's say, be more solution oriented, so what kinds of things I need to evolve? So of course you can go to these mind and hand competences and see what are the things from this aspect that you can have from your LCP to ensure that you are growing in this part. So actually everyone is really affected by this, even on MC and AI level. So try to have it very clear in your mind in how you can make this happen, because this is natural. The moment you have these things, the others happen. And lastly, like to have all these things happening, we have the global learning environments. So in this case, very briefly, is how we use these spaces we have to make everything possible. And in this case, like maybe it's not always possible for sure to do all of them, but really try to find the best ones for the experience. Because in the end, what will make the experience good or not, it's how well we are actually considering the things that we are bringing to people in the best way possible. And in this case, maybe some people will be able to grow more if they have, let's say, a team experience where, the people that they work usually more are there with them than if they are in a conference. Or some people may prefer flexibility of virtual spaces than actually going to, let's say, a one-to-one to learn with the team leader, something that they don't know. So try to understand how good these spaces are and how they can help you. And yeah, that's it. The next one will be the clarity of overview. And this one we will talk a little bit more about being member, team leader, and TM.